Hello, welcome back to All For United WFC. This podcast feels perfectly timed, as you can see behind Freya there, Sunderland and Villa shirts representing. We are going to dive into the Conti Cup. We'll start with that in just a second, because obviously we didn't do a show yesterday in the end talking about the City defeat, so we will get into that just a little bit. Then, as you see, obviously we'll talk about the weekend's game, and as it says in the title, is this Marc Skinner's last? It feels like that in the ground, but we'll get your guys' thoughts on all of that stuff as well as we go into this weekend's fixture. But it feels like the best place to start. Freya, I'll come to you then. Wednesday night, obviously you win 7-0. I was looking at my phone. I was happy at the time. I was like, yeah, Villa are winning. That's good for us. We don't want Sunderland to win this because that could put us out. At the time, we were 2-0 down. And then after the game, I run over to somebody. I'm like, hang on a minute. What's happened here? What's going on? What's going on at Old Villa?
Honestly, the emotions we've had, haven't we, Lyndsey, the last couple of days have just been mad. So we went into it thinking we've had quite a nice group. We've had some really good results out of it. Should Sunderland are in good form, but are they there to really compete with us yet? I was looking forward to a really good match. I went. And it was a good atmosphere. It was really good. Really enjoying it. Yes, 7 goals, got it. And I remember looking at the team sheet, and initially nothing stood out. And then Ant, who does the How Are the Lasses podcast, I was messaging him because he was behind the goal, and he went, "Hang on, hasn't Maritz played in the cup for Arsenal?" And I was like, "Oh God, yeah, she has." And then it kind of started whispering around all the grounds, and then in our fan club chat, we were talking about it. And as soon as that happened, we were like, oh God, what is going to happen now? What is going to be that outcome? And so I was trying to check my phone, but Lyndsey, what people were saying straight away, weren't they? Like, she definitely shouldn't have been there. And then it was that, how has that been missed? Because they knew about Freya Gregory. That's why, even though she's been recalled, they couldn't name her in the squad. And we thought, it's not as if Noelle is a lower player, no offense to any young academy players or anything, but not as if she's popped up for a couple of minutes in a game and no one's noticed. Like, she's come from Arsenal. Like, it's not as if she could have been bypassed. So yeah, they've come out and said it's an admin error, which, yeah, fair play. We know human error happens, but this standard in this league, it's devastating. That's what it is. And then obviously the impact on everything else, isn't it?
I want to get to the outcomes in just a second. Obviously, this does impact United, depending on on which way this swings. But I mean, Lyndsey, were you surprised as well? Because I mean, surely Maritz herself would have known she's already played in this competition as well.
Well, this was the thing, and I thought, well, maybe with the way that women's football's viewed, maybe the admin team got confused between Continental Cup and the Adobe FA Cup and thought that they were the same one, but it was just, last season it was called one thing and this season it's called something else. Like, I don't understand how the admin error happened. Like, don't get me wrong, I make loads of silly mistakes myself, but even I can't make sense. And when I saw that Maritz was in the lineup, I was like, but she's played. And then I googled it, and she played 3 times if the email that I found was correct. And I was just like, this is just really, really bad. And how has this slipped through the net? And again, like Freya said, and like you said, how does Maritz not know? And at the end of the day, the book stops with Carla for putting her on, because she should have realised. And it's just frustrating because we had a decent game and we're potentially out the cup because of a balls up, basically.
Well, I think that's the thing, Barry, isn't it? Like, herself, obviously, Carla. I can understand, I guess, potentially Carla maybe not understanding every little detail of every rule. But Maritz herself, the people in the app, and as Freya said as well at the start, it's not like this is like a youngster that's come in on loan or something that's hardly played any minutes. She played 3 times in the cup for Arsenal. She's a known player. One of the the big moves this January as well, from a sound point of view. How obviously you work with obviously Stevenage women as well, and have some involvement in these kind of things. I can imagine with the conversation. How does this kind of thing slip under the mat, so to speak?
It doesn't. I mean, honestly, Freya's used the word devastating. Yeah, for them. Lyndsey's used the word, the fact that maybe they got confused. You've been very, very kind there, Lyndsey. That the simple word to use is it's unacceptable. At the level that we're at the WSL level, for a player from Arsenal, one of the top 4 teams in the WSL, to not have noticed, and to, I mean, I didn't even realise the Freya Gregory bit, to have actually already had a player who can't play and know that they're not allowed to play them, yet still then go and play someone else. One of 2 things has happened here, Connor. You know, we at Stevenage, we have that. We've got a secretary, and it's his job to make sure that people are registered, that people are available, the ones that are chosen are allowed to play. He sends the rules to me. I sort out the team sheets and stuff. So, you know, we're sort of double checking as well. I find it absolutely unbelievable that this hasn't happened at Aston Villa. So one or 2 things has happened. Either number one is that they've all gone on a massive bender the night before and just filled in the team sheet whilst entirely drunk and just didn't think to check it. That's one possible option. The other option is that they knew what they were doing. They thought, you know what, if we go and beat Sunderland, this will happen. And because the rules might have changed, we can end up knocking Man United out of that. Wouldn't that be fun? Honestly, I don't know. I'm jesting, but I haven't got a clue. This is just the most Man United thing that could possibly happen. We make it through the Conti Cup. We know that we're going to be okay. All the results are going our way. And then this. I don't. There's just no excuse for it. There's not. It's unacceptable. Absolutely.
I was going to say, there's so many. Obviously, we'll move on to the outcomes now in terms of what could happen here. Because as you mentioned, now, so it does seem the people I've spoken to, the rules have changed since Reading were kicked out of the tournament. So that potentially is quite unlikely that Villa will be kicked out. Now, obviously, there's a number of possibilities, whether they give the points to Sunderland, whether no points are awarded and it just is a void game, whether they backdate points, are they going to start going through like the rest of the competition and start handing, because I see someone's mentioned Durham. We're ahead of Durham on points anyway. It's only if they backdate points to start giving points for previous games that will happen, which would obviously disqualify Villa from the tournament entirely. But I don't see that happening. So, I mean, where do we start, Freya? What do you think is going to happen? I know what you hope is going to happen. Obviously, you hope that it's, I imagine that you go through anyway. But, you know, are you hopeful that it's just going to be a void game, points to Sunderland? Like, what do you want to happen here?
It's hard, isn't it? Because the first 45 minutes, so Moritz didn't come on till the 46th minute. And it's then, okay, we were already 3-0 up. In reality, could Sunderland have come back without it? How much of a role did Moritz play in that? And it's kind of, well, how are they going to do it? Are they just going to give the points to Sunderland? But then surely if we've broken the rules, as much as I'd love us to go out, if we have broken the rules, we shouldn't really, should we? In all fairness, but we've seen, you know, in the men's game throughout different competitions, kind of some clubs get through when they shouldn't have, and kind of it seems to apply different rules to different clubs, doesn't it? So, you know, I'd love us to still be able to do it because the WSL is not going very well for us at the minute. So if we could get through and have a chance at, you know, gaining our confidence back, and, you know, if that could help us in our league form, that would be fantastic. But would it be something like a replay of the game without her? But then is that giving us a second chance? Give Sunderland that second chance. So there's just too many factors in it. And then, of course, it then all impacts all the other teams, doesn't it? So I genuinely don't know. But the fact has gone to an independent tribunal. And so it's kind of taken out of everyone else's hands. And I just think whatever the rule is, it's kind of, okay, we'll stick behind them, whatever. But yeah, monumental error that, like we said, definitely should not have happened. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't.
That's going to be a tough one. And earlier, obviously, as you've referenced, obviously the draw is now, but it was supposed to be today. I was kind of hoping we were going to come on here and react to the draw. Obviously, that's been pushed back to Monday now, so you have to wait till Monday's show to see our reaction to the draw if we're in it. We might not even be in it, but by the time Monday rolls around. So yeah, I think it's got to be decided because surely they know what the rules are. You know that. Where this is going, obviously, with the tribunal and so on. Surely they know this shouldn't be a ridiculously drawn-out process, I wouldn't have thought, because the rules should be black or white in terms of what happens here. I mean, I'm just reading John's comment a bit further up into I think you replied to one of our tweets saying, obviously, being Sunderland, saying, yeah, you know, obviously, that the WSL side is potentially favoured. I mean, it's such a tough one, isn't it? Because do Villa deserve to go out of the whole competition based off 45 minutes of where she played when you were already 3-0 up. But at the same time,
does that second half take away the points, obviously, against all the other teams and where we were in the table? Because obviously leading up to it, obviously if Sunderland won, they could have leapfrogged us and then we would have gone through as runner-up. So we were looking to go through either way, really. But then is it a overall, what do we deserve? Or is it well, actually, the rules are black and white. It says don't do it. So I don't know. Lyndsey, what do you reckon?
I was going to say, this is where the tribunal is going to come in, because there's so many different outcomes that can happen that we do need like someone independent of the FA, so that the backlash, because somebody's going to be upset, somebody's got to be held accountable, and one of the teams that's hopeful that they'll go through is going to be upset, whether it's Villa, whether it's United, whether it's somebody else. And I just think that independent body, or hopefully if they are truly independent, hash it out over the weekend as to what the best solution is. Villa out the cup completely, or just forfeit the game, or like we said earlier about like forfeiting all the points, and just getting somewhere and just being fair to the other teams. It wasn't a game changing sub, but then it should never have happened, and we need to be held accountable, because if we're not, then other people will think, oh, it's we can do this in the future. And I still can't get my head around it at all. It's a frustrating one, and I don't think there's an actual outcome that would appease everybody, even if you were neutral and quite fair and honest about everything. So I think somebody's going to be making an upsetting announcement over the weekend or Monday about this.
I mean, Barry, that's the key, isn't it? That this affects obviously three sides in this. My bank balance is saying kick United out because it would save me a trip on a midweek and my annual leave saving my days. Obviously, from a United point of view, we as we said before, you win 3 out of 4, you'd expect to be going through in second place. But that might not be the case if this game is flipped the other way and as Amara is saying, almost in terms of forfeiting of points. I'm assuming that means in this game alone, if Sunderland do obviously get the points, that would put us out. So what? I'm assuming you're going to say you want United to go through still, but what do you think is going to happen?
It's not about who we want to go through. It's not about who we want to go through. As you said, it's about what's right and what's fair in the base of the competition. That the only people that broke the rules were Aston Villa. It's as simple as that. So in a competition with everybody in it, it's Villa who've broken the rules. So the only team that should be negatively impacted because of that is Aston Villa. Now, my understanding is, don't quote me on this. This is not, I haven't got this direct from the head of the WSL or the Conti Cup. But my understanding is that the 3 options are that the points could be taken off of Aston Villa and given to Sunderland. Alternatively, they quash the result and there's no points for Aston Villa and no points rewarded to Sunderland either. Or Aston Villa get kicked out of the competition. Now, Reading, when they did this, were kicked out of the competition, but that was almost a decade ago. Man City, when they were found guilty of this, miraculously had no case to answer and were allowed to stay in the competition. I am making 0 comments on what I think about that because it was nothing to do with me. But it's just an interesting thing that I found when I was Googling this. Now, the problem you've got is this. Number 1, do Aston Villa deserve to be kicked out of a whole competition based on one mistake in one match when they've won the number of games that they've won as well? I mean, I think you won all 4, didn't you? Yeah. So if you've won 3 out of the 4 games, it's one game at the end of the day. So it seems a bit harsh to say kick them out of the entire competition for 1 error in a game, would be your initial standpoint. However, when you start then looking at how that affects other people, you've got to then ask yourself, do Sunderland deserve to be given 3 points in a game that they were losing if Aston Villa had theirs taken off? They lost at the end of the day. Did they lose because Maritz played? Probably not. It's impossible to tell. It's one of those things. Anything can happen. But that's the dilemma that you're stuck with. If you give the points to Sunderland, here's the drama. You could say, yes, they do. That's just the rules. That's the way it is. Sunderland top the group. They go through. Aston Villa will go through as the second highest qualifier. You could argue that that's the fairest possible thing because Manchester United should have done better and got a better goal difference. But as John Commode mentions, we're up against teams that are mostly in the WSL. Aston Villa are not. So should goal difference really come into such a thing when the leagues are not particularly distributed fairly enough? So then you hit the point of what happens if no points are given. And if no points are given whatsoever and it just stays the same, then obviously Villa would would they still be second again? They wouldn't be, would they? It was 9 and 8, wouldn't it?
They'll still lead, yeah. So they'd still have 9 points to Sunderland 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So technically, you would say that if no points were given and the match is basically just voided, technically Villa have been punished because they haven't got the points they had before. It just goes back to what the standings were. Sunderland didn't do enough. Villa go through. United go through. Some people might argue it's not fair for Villa to go through. This is why a tribunal exists. They've got to sit there and determine what the best possible outcome is. Now, the problem is that I have very little faith in tribunals anywhere to come out with the right ideas and the right thoughts. So the honest truth is it's irrelevant in that respect what's good for us. What it does prove, though, is that on the All Women's Football channel, you came on and spoke a bit about the Conti Cup format. And I think what this has 100% shown is that the Conti Cup format has massive flaws because it is so heavily weighted at times. The fact that you can have the groups, the fact that there's groups with 5 and 4, like what is that all about? Just have equal groups. And as a result, it creates a lot more problems because of the way that they've set up the competition. So I think it goes a bit deeper and we need to have a look at that. It's not necessarily wrong that you can, get an extra point for drawing and then having the penalties. I don't care about that. That's fine. You can do that as much as you like. But the way in which it's weighted, the fact that the people that are in the Champions League just come in at the knockout stages and can make it to the final having played 2 or 3 games, those things need to be looked at. For me personally, sometimes I feel the only way you're going to only impact Aston Villa is if they're removed from the competition. That is the only way, because either of the other 2 options will leave either Sunderland or Manchester United feeling like they've been negatively impacted by something that had nothing to do with them and they cannot legislate against. So I don't know. I think the easiest way would just be to send Carla Ward to the Tower of London and just make her spend the rest of the WSL season there. That would probably work. We can all just point at her and laugh and, ha. I don't know. That's why these people are there. But it's going to be wrong whichever way they do it, I think.
Because I believe this isn't Carla's first time doing this. I think she's done this before. I don't know whether it was in this competition, but she's certainly done this before.
She did it. Was it Birmingham City, didn't she, Lyndsey?
Birmingham City. She played Risha Littlejohn, who was suspended from. I'm not sure if she just signed for Birmingham City and she was carrying suspension over from the previous season, or she was at Birmingham City and it was the last season and she carried it straight over and she played her. And they got fined and I've forgotten what else happened, but it wasn't the first time it's happened, and it's all right sitting there doing a press conference saying it needs to be investigated so it doesn't happen again, but happening twice in 4 years, was it 2021 I think it was, and it's just like that wasn't that long ago for the same thing to happen. And like the fan club are absolutely fuming about the whole situation because we should never have been.
That's the second time Carla Ward's done it.
Yeah.
Oh, she should be sacked. She should have her UEFA license removed, and she needs to go and retake the course. That's the next form of action.
Well, because they were saying, weren't they? A person comes in and does the team sheet and just gives it to her. So how much can she kind of she should trust the people she works with? And absolutely, but then that comes down to in any average job. Could you imagine something going wrong and you saying it's not my job? Like that wouldn't happen, would it? You couldn't. You've got to have eyes everywhere, know other bits of your job, know how that impacts you and other departments. So yeah, it's really frustrating because there were so many levels, and like we said before, the players themselves. I don't believe for 1 minute none of the players spotted it because it's such an obvious thing, and I just think and it doesn't seem like a team that can't bring it up to management or to Carla or anything like that. So yeah, it's a very weird thing to say to admin error when factually you would see your name on the sheet and go, I can't play. So yeah, I think it's from a lot of different angles. We just And the fact that they haven't released a statement or anything either, which I get because it's under investigation, but hopefully after all this, we do get some information and kind of how it all went down, because again, so much speculation, we can only, imagine what's going on. And I think that's the hard bit, that we don't have any evidence apart from she was played and shouldn't have, to really go off. So yeah, it's hard.
But
I was
what
watching
possible
it back.
statement could they do? It would be a 2-word one. My bad. What else can they say?
Yeah, my fault. Yeah, but
It did make me laugh. They were very quick, weren't they? Like I think Barclays WSL tweeted, and somebody else tweeted an official page like, "Congrats on Villa, through to the next round." I was like, "You're brave."
Qualified and then deleted.
It was like,
I agree with this.
Can you imagine that being a thing? Having points on your coach.
I like the idea. I like the fact that you're a coach and you can have points put up against you. Every time you get sent off from the bench, you get a point added on. And if it happens again in another couple of years, it's a great idea. And then if they're not doing good enough, they have to go and retake the test. We could do it with refs as well. Every time they're pants, we just stick some points on their cards, and then eventually they have to go and retake the course. Love it. Great idea.
I don't want to spend obviously the whole show talking about it, but Beth makes a good point talking about it as well. Obviously, Lucy Stan, when she moved, didn't Marissa, Villa knew the rules then. It's really bizarre. It doesn't happen obviously very often, and it's bizarre when it does, which is why we obviously we've got to talk about it. There was a question just before we move on, obviously, because we've got another game to talk about, obviously with the one at the weekend. John's asking there, if Sunderland were awarded the points, could you see? I'm not gonna lie, there's not going to be time. By the time the next round of fixtures come around, an appeal, I think, would take too long. I think they've got to decide over the weekend and just leave it as that.
You could appeal, and I see no reason why we wouldn't. But equally, the reasoning is going to be put out with it as well. It won't just be a decision. There'll be, I'm sure, a reason why. You'd hope. I say I'm sure. It's the FA. Anything can happen.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting, because as I said, obviously, I was pretty happy, and not happy. I was annoyed at what I was watching it, watching the game. But I was starting looking. I was like, okay, at least Villa are winning. That's something. And then all of a sudden, all of this has come out, and who knows? We might not even be in it come Monday. So we shall see. So many comments. I should have started some of these.
Amara's been very, Arsenal is all I can really say about this. It's almost as if it's like an old cry more sort of thing. And we as a whole, I think, have tried to make a really balanced case, bearing in mind that we've got Villa fans below us here and they've got United fans above us. I think we've all tried to sit there and tread the middle ground as best as we possibly can. It's not about the fate being in your own hands. If you can have a competition which allow runners up to be going through, then the rules have to be adhered to fairly. It's not about whether it's in your own hands. The fate was in our own hands. You could argue the fate was in Sunderland's hands. If they'd have managed to win the match, they'd have gone through. They didn't. So, it works every single way around that you're looking at it. It was in Villa's own hands as well. Don't name the wrong bloody players. It's very simple. Everybody's got the things to look at. So, anyway, go on, talk about Man City.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you were just saying, because I think, yes, it would have been in our hands should we just win the game. We topped the group and so on, but that's the issue with the group. Look at the group Arsenal, and no disrespect to these sides, but you've got Southampton, Reading, and Bristol in the Arsenal group, and we've got three, all WSL ones. So yeah, I think it's a little bit different when you look at it like that. However, I do agree. You we'd have just won on the night, yes, we would have gone through, and I would have rather have gone through in top as well, because it makes it a hell of a lot easier. Barry, I've just got the player of the match polls in the chat, because I need a thing. So we have gone for Fallon, Jace, Paris, and Nelson. It's very close. It's pretty much 20. What are we on? Fallon 35, Jace 19, Paris 26, Nelson 20. So or 19 even. It's close, which is what I like. Barry, I just want you to have the last word on Wednesday night, because we didn't do a review on it. It's kind of not gonna lie, I expected us to lose. I wasn't going there in any hope that we would win. I was hopeful, yes, expecting no. But yeah, what did you think on the game overall?
Nice to see Fallon in goal. It's a shame I'm the only United voice here, because you're not going to say much. Where do I go with this one? Right, Gemma Evans isn't a left back. And quite frankly, the idea that we're going to continually keep doing this is really winding me up. Hannah Blundell isn't really a right back. She's better at left back. She's proved that numerous times this season. We said it earlier backstage. Marc Skinner is making it really hard to defend him at the moment. Like, really tremendously, ridiculously difficult to defend what he's doing. I genuinely believe with all my heart that he is trying his best to do the right things, but he's just not coming up trumps. Maybe last year he was lucky. You know, he was when he did make a change, when he did things, perhaps they worked out well for him then, and it was easier for him to sail along. But we're putting a centre back into a left back position consistently. We didn't buy them in the first place. We didn't get enough. We haven't recruited as well as we could have done. We were buying the wrong players. We keep on packing that bloody midfield. I'm sick to death of having conversations about how many people we got in midfield that could play while we're sitting here with about 2 defenders. It's madness. If it's that, why is she playing at left back? She was responsible for both of the goals, in my opinion. The ball comes in from the left-hand side for the second one, and how she was turned by Chloe Kelly. I mean, my goodness. I mean, I think that if you look at it now, I think she's still turning. That's how slow it took her to actually get around and get the ball. It was honestly ridiculous. As a whole, though, it was a better performance, I think, than Chelsea. I think we did play better. We created more opportunities. We just couldn't put them away. Took too long for us to get the goal. Nikita Paris, I think, missed a brilliant opportunity in the first half, which she just kicked straight at the goalkeeper when you would have expected her to be a bit more clinical with what she was doing. So it was better, but it wasn't ideal. It's a worry that we can't beat these teams above us, and it's just sort of left me feeling like the season's a bit of a write-off now. You know, yes, I'm hopeful. Who knows, we might still be in the Conti Cup and have the opportunity to go and win that. We'll find that out once the powers that be make that decision. We know we've got the FA Cup potentially as well. But the simple and honest truth is that if Marc Skinner continues saying some of the things he's saying and making some of the decisions he's making, I don't think the board is going to have much choice at the rate that he's going, because there is just some glaring things that should not be happening. The worst thing is we've got Riviere going off to the Gold Cup, which means he's bound to play Hannah Blundell on the right back more, and that's going to be our defence. Gemma Evans
against Arsenal at the Emirates.
On side, which we've already highlighted, so you can guarantee all the other clubs have watched that. Carla Ward, you know, this is why she needs to go to the Tower of London, because she's seen all this stuff, so she's just going to use it at the weekend. Ball's over to the left-hand side, wallop, goal. And, you know, he's going to have to do something about it. And then you wonder, is he going to try and do that trick again where he puts May Letitia there and swaps with Millie Turner? And you just think, what are you doing? For me, the answer seems to be as simple as possible. If you're going to play Gemma Evans, put her in her bloody position. Stick her in at centre-back. Put May Letitia in at right-back. Just bite the bullet. I know she's a fantastic centre-back, but she was naturally a right-back in the first place. Whack her there. Blundell left-back. Evans, and, of course, Millie Turner. And we'll just have to suck it and see what goes on. You know, there are some youth players that have had a go. We could potentially bring them in as well. But I feel like I've gone on to the Villa bit already. I'm very sorry. So I shall pare that back. What was pants and needs to be better.
No, I agree. I think overall, I think it was definitely better than Chelsea. It was better than the City game at Old Trafford, but just still not enough. And, you know, I see the things, obviously, if United just took our chances, let's not forget City at the post. Bunny Shaw could have had a couple in the first half, where if City take their chances, we're out of the game by half time. So it swings and roundabouts in terms of taking your chances. Very quickly, there was a question I just wanted to answer. I can't. Where the hell has it gone? I need to start starring some of these comments. I've lost it. I can't find it now. Has it been deleted? Or what's there we go. It's
Get back.
I literally just found it. It was that one. We have behind the scenes, but for various different reasons, we backed away and for all kinds of things going on. We've tried. Tried this window, but yeah, I think I agree with the comment that's literally just underneath it. I can't believe that we're sat here at the end of January and we still don't have defensive cover coming in. That's the one thing I will defend Marc Skinner about right now. How, you know, you've got Riviere going off the Gold Cup, as you said. Mannion's still just about to come back. No one else is fit. Jade's picked up a knock. Is she going to play on Sunday? Now, like what? Oh, I don't know. It's ridiculous to me.
How nice it would be for the only thing to worry about is whether you're going to get thrown out of the Conti Cup or not.
We have our own issues, don't worry.
We could do with Marriott, actually. To be fair, we need some defensive cover.
No, we've lost so many defenders. No, you're not taking that.
You have the kit man.
Is it time for that annual call for Mers Pacheco, Connor?
Oh, I was talking to Nancy about it on Wednesday. Absolutely love Maz at United. It's never going to matter. Someone added, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Warriors, actually, if you are watching, saying, would you take her on loan? I was like, screw that, take her on permanent. Like, I'd have a full-time and starting left-back, I would, but it's not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'd rather we just go, as Barry just said, put Evans at centre-back and play a back five if we have to, and play Galton and like Riviera as almost wing-backs, or Galton and Blundell, or whoever it is, so they can play further up, and just put Evans, Turner, and Letitia as kind of your back three. Just don't put Evans on her own at left back. It does not work.
Logical stuff to do. Don't take a centre back, stick him in at left back, and then expect the world to sit there and clap her. It's not fair on her. It's not her position. She's just doing what she's been asked to do. And I just think that what she's been asked to do is unfair. And that's a Skinner problem, not an Evans problem, by the way, for all those people that have been waiting for me to say it.
We said this in pre-season, though. Do you remember the game that we watched of her in pre-season? She was playing fullback and we were like, oh, she's getting beat a lot here. Even in pre-season, we could see this. And then obviously she's played a couple of times there and been exposed. I said to Jess after like 5 minutes, like, oh, she's up against Kelly. She's getting turned inside out in the first few minutes. And it was just painful to watch. Yeah, I don't know.
There was more turns from her than a 90s WWE wrestler. There really was. Unreal.
Oh, God. So, what is John on about? Oh, he's talking about the 5-0.
Oh, okay.
I saw Honor. I saw him mentioning Honor. I was like, what? What's the conversation here? So yeah, I'm sure we'll come back to Skinner in a second because there's a quote of his in regards to results and things like that.
Oh yeah, can't wait for that one. But let the girls have a chat first.
Indeed, Freya, I come to you. So this weekend, what's the feeling amongst Villa fans? How are you feeling going into this one? Because I said you start of the season a bit iffy, but to be fair, when I was looking at Villa's results, the teams you lost to, not expected, but it wasn't exactly like you were losing to teams in and around you. Obviously, near the bottom at the time, it was Chelsea, it was us. I mean, losing to us is quite bad this season, but it was those kinds of teams.
It was the first match, okay.
You saw me on the big screen as well. That was a highlight,
yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Which was some unwanted camera just pointing at me, which is not very nice.
Was it all of you, including your hair? Or
oh yeah, it was a full shot, me and Mia. I'm sure Andrew was in it as well. Yeah, so what's the feeling for going into this one? Are you more confident with obviously United's season being a bit iffy, or like what's the feeling amongst Villa fans going into this one?
It's a tough one. I think the last couple of days hasn't helped, to be honest. But I think as a fan club, as a fan domain, we're kind of going, right, okay, put that to one side for now. We'll always be there. We'll always support. You're with your team through thick and thin. And we looked back, and actually the games that we've turned up for this season, it was the Man United match, it was the Arsenal match. And we can do it. We can turn up and have those big moments. And it's just, for some reason, there's been a lack of confidence this season. I don't know if it's, I've talked about before the extra pressure from finishing fifth last season. So now everyone's kind of eyes on us, whereas last season it was no one was expecting it. So they could go out and enjoy it, and, a win was even better because it wasn't expected. So I think they just all need to remember that we can do it and we can show up. And I think that with United being a bit wobbly, using your words, it's why don't we have a shot at least competing? And I think that's what we need to focus on at the minute, not to get absolutely, battered, but going away and just being able to show up. I think that's all we can ask of them at the minute, and be able to compete. And then hopefully the 7-0 should have been a really positive, confident result to take us into Sunday, which is what we're hoping for. So we just hope this hasn't knocked them. So that's why, I don't know if you saw, we did a little video of everyone's comments earlier, and kind of shared that, just to be like, look, whatever's happened. We'll draw a line under it, and we're still going to be there on Sunday, and we'll just have to sing even louder, I think. But yeah, so feeling cautiously optimistic, I think can be the term for that one.
I mean, Lyndsey, do you kind of echo what Freya said? I mean, I'll come back to my thoughts on it in a second, but that worries me a little bit. The fact that you're optimistic, I think that tells you everything about our season. Because I remember having this conversation at the start of the season, and it wasn't optimistic. So I think that shows how the seasons have taken different directions. Yeah, Lyndsey, are you optimistic as well? What's your thoughts going into this one?
Well, I thought that although we've lost to the teams that if we were going to lose to anybody you would expect us to lose to, we weren't, I think apart from one, they were all fine margins. So we actually play better when we're playing against teams that you would expect to beat us and dominate the game. We seem to play better like that. So I think with the way that you guys are at 6s and 7s, then we do stand a chance. Now, how big that chance is depends on your viewpoint and how much you've been drinking. But I do believe that we stand a chance, and if we put aside the error that happened and the politics that come with that, and we just focus on the game, then the 7-0, we did try some new tactics, we did try some new ways to play, and it worked. So that was a bit of a trial run for the weekend, but I can only hope that we'll do well. And all we want from the girls, like you were saying before we came on air, is we just want them to play their best, and if their best isn't good enough on the day, then we'll still come back to the Midlands or wherever we're all from happy. So we just want them to go and compete, and hopefully we can get a point or 3, but at the same time, if it's not our day, then hopefully it won't be too painful.
And if Villa do win, me and Andrew will not be coming back to the Midlands very happy. So obviously that's both where we're based. I will not be coming back down here happy because that'll be 3 losses in a row on the road. Well, for me and Andrew anyway, it's quite a trek. So I'll be best pleased.
It's a must-win game for both teams, though, isn't it? So I think all we can expect and all we can hope for is both teams to come out fighting. And actually, it should be a really good match because there's a lot of probably emotion on your players' end as well. Kind of how things are going should be higher, should be better possibly. So, they might come out thinking, how Villa have been doing, easy 3 points, right? Let's smash it. And then hopefully we can come out fighting as well with all that emotion from midweek. So yeah, let's put, everything crossed that's the result and that's the brilliant game we get, rather than 2 teams maybe at a loss not taking their chances. So yeah, so if both teams turn up, I think we're in for a good one.
And Barry, from a United point of view, and obviously that there's a lot of people in the chat kind of saying, it depends which United show up. Freya's just mentioned it there. Does this feel like a must-win for you after how our kind of season has gone? As I said earlier, if we could potentially end this weekend with 6th. If we don't, we could end there 6th anyway, even if we do win the goal difference. Although it would take quite a swing for us to drop a couple of positions on goal difference. But yeah, do you feel like this feels very much like anything less than 3 points from a United point of view? From looking, obviously, from Marc Skinner, he's in pretty big trouble next week.
After Wednesday, Lyndsey responded to something that I put on Twitter, and I put on there it was a must-win game. I think it is. Absolutely. It's not that I think it's must-win even necessarily for Marc Skinner or for anything else. It's just you've got to stop the rut. Would be the must-win. But the more I've thought about it and the more I've mellowed since Wednesday, the more I've almost hit the point of not caring. And I think that's a problem. And I say that, I'm not even trying to be funny. I know that I often come on here and I start throwing out the jokes and everything, but it's just like the title is gone. I can't see a way into the top 3 now. It's going to take Arsenal and City to do incredibly poorly. And equally, I think from our point of view, we would then have to continue playing well for the rest of the season. I struggle seeing that at the moment. And I think that's the big problem, is that you hear some of the things that have come out. I mean, he spoke about the game at City saying, they made 7 changes. We made 7 changes. They didn't make any. But what does that tell you about the game? City had gone in there, taken that game seriously from the very, very start, and we've made 7 changes. Now, we spoke last season about the rotation of players. he's done it again. Now, you could argue on this occasion, though, that they weren't winning. So a change was a good idea. They did make some chances, but they didn't put them away. Some of those changes were changes that should have happened in the first place. Nikita Parris should have been playing at the weekend. She shouldn't have been coming on as a substitute. Then you listen to some of the things that he says. More than happy with where my team are at the moment in terms of attitude and energy. You've got, I don't know how many people when you're at a match potentially saying Skinner out. You've got journalists and everywhere going and the pressure and everything. I'm really worried about what he's saying at the moment because it's almost like he's just given up. And I hate saying this, but it's crazy. And then, do you want to read the quote out that he said about this game?
Yeah.
You've got it 100%. So put it so that I don't misquote him.
So Marc Skinner was asked on results, obviously, and needed an upturn in results. And the quote that Emma Sanders put out earlier, and this is accurate, by the way, because I've heard it. Yes, we have to, but what I don't want to do, and I'll be very clear on this, we won't just solely try to get a result at the detriment to our own performances.
You can't say that. When you're a manager facing the pressure that you're facing, you can't turn around and say, I think performances are more important than results. In a team that is fighting for the top three, you just can't say that. And this is what I mean when I say he's making it so hard for me to defend him, because football-wise, I'll have that fight with anyone. He's got the right. I've always said he will live and die by the decisions he's making. But at the moment, the things that he's making are the equivalent of Harry Kiri. They really are. He's literally put himself into a situation where he's going to get a sack because you can't come out with that sort of stuff. Whether you're at Man United, whether you're at Villa, whether you're at Spurs, whether you're at Needham Market, you can't turn around and sit there and go, oh yeah, who cares about results? Now, as fans, we can. We will say that all the time. We will say, do you know what? We can handle losing as long as we've played well. We always say that. But you can't say that as the manager. As the manager, you've got to be sitting there going, we need to win the games. And when he comes out and says that, he's the leader. He's the one that everyone's supposed to follow. So, I can see there's people in the comments going, oh, it's depressing. We don't usually get this from Barry. But that should tell you, just how much the last couple of weeks have made it impossible. I will fight to the death for my team. I will stick up for people as best as I possibly can. I will always try and look for the positives in a situation. But to turn around and say that he was more than happy with some of those games, to be more than happy with the Chelsea game when we were absolutely outplayed, to be more than happy with losing 2-1 to Man City. Oh, we created the chances. Brilliant. Yes, we did create the chances, but you've got to put them away. We were doing it last season. If we'd have finished fourth last season, Connor, I'd not be too fussed. I wouldn't be, because we're still around that sort of area. But we made it into the top three, and we only lost 2 players that were in our first 11. Everybody else we agreed was deadwood that needed to go so that we could improve. This is where I'm frustrated. He's acting as if it's a brand new squad. And yes, it is to a degree, but there's things that he's doing that aren't helping. The Mary Earp situation didn't help. I think his handling of that just hasn't gone well. And these are the things that are eventually going to cause him to lose his job. And I don't want him to lose his job. I genuinely, I love that. I'm emotional about it, actually, because I think he came in and did a brilliant job. I think he's a better manager than Casey Stoney was for Manchester United, and I think he's cared about the club more. But at this moment in time, he's going to have to start getting some... What we need, who's that really good ventriloquist from America's Got Talent? If we could get him, right, and he could just sort of stand behind, and Marc Skinner could just move his mouth, and he could do the talking, and maybe that might be a bit better, because at the moment, what he's saying isn't right. And that's not helpful.
People know me on here. I never call for a manager to be sacked. I've said that for God knows how many years, just because I don't like it on a personal level, because you're talking about somebody's job. However, I said to Jess around the 70th minute, watching United on Sunday and Wednesday night, like the games I've been to recently, there's almost like an inevitability. We're going to lose. And if we can feel that in the crowd, we're all just like, well, we're going to concede at some point in the next few minutes. Like, you can almost feel it coming. And I said that, going into this one, I'm very much like, I don't know. There's a strong chance I think we could lose, because I really don't know what United team is going to show up. Now, we might win it this weekend, But then I'm looking at each game. It always just feels like inevitable that he's going to go at some point in the next few weeks, months, end of the season, whatever. But I don't know. And I think someone's made a good point in the comments in terms of, potentially has he already been told, that his contract's not being renewed.
I was just going to say that, but even if he does, you still don't come out and say that. You can say that to the players. I'm just bothered about your performances. I'm not bothered about the results. Let's get you playing well, ready for the next manager. You don't come out and say it to everyone. Like, just protect yourself a bit. He's like Batfink without wings. That's one for the older people there. They'll remember that Batfink with his lovely wings that could repel bullets.
I'm intrigued.
Great.
I've got no idea what you're on about. It's past my...
It's no surprise to me, Connor. You don't know what Star Wars is, let alone Batfink.
For the record, I do know what Star Wars is. Because there's a strong chance people will believe that. I'm interested in Freya and Lyndsey in terms of your thoughts on watching United this season. So obviously, because we've already played once, the 2-1 win at the start of the season. That feels like a lifetime ago now, from my point of view, because that was a really good moment that was for us. But
emotionally and mentally, yeah.
What do you think in terms of United this season, and in terms of where we are? And obviously, we had a great season last year, making it to the cup final and all those kinds of things. But in terms of the drop off that we've seen,
I think the whole league's been strange this season, to be honest. Like, because if you look at kind of where people are and kind of how Villa were doing last season, and kind of that emotion that went with it, to where we are now, and you almost look at teams like Liverpool has been like the Villa of last season, like kind of where they are, better than expecting. Kind of you just need to take your chances. And I think with United, it's like the same as watching Villa. There's something not right. Like, that spark's gone, that magic's not there. And you think, you've brought in players like Jace, who's, world-class Champions League. And we've talked about it before, kind of some players are ready to go straight away. Some players need a bit of time, and that's fine. But it seems like even now there's a lot of players that have got their glimpses and they've got moments, and you're like, oh, there's the player they signed. But then the majority of the time it's not gelling, it's not clicking. And yeah, I think a couple of teams have felt that this season, and I genuinely can't put my finger on it. And I think when we've talked about it before, is it a change of backroom staff? Maybe is it a change of feeling in the changing room? Is it more management than the players? Because the players themselves, when they come out on social media and seem to really love it and love the club and love playing, and you just think, well, what is it that's going on that us fans can't see? So I think with United, that spark's been gone as well, as it has in Villa, to be honest.
Didn't know whether Lyndsey was just going to dive straight in there.
No, I've been polite. I was just going to say that I agree with pretty much what Freya said. And I know that you had a big personnel change in the summer, and on paper you look like you've got the cast of Centurions, and they're going to come out and beat everybody and win the league this year. But it's kind of gone a bit like the cast of the Raggy Dolls, another old person reference, and it's not really gone for you guys, and it's really frustrating to watch you play, because I look at the calibre of players that you've brought in, and some of them are absolutely fantastic to watch. Like Jace, I love watching. I think she's brilliant. I'm dreading her playing at the weekend, because she can just turn plays inside out. She's just an absolute talent. And Fallon as well in goal, absolutely brilliant. And I look at these players and I just think, she's in goal, and I haven't got her mixed up. And I just look at her and I just think, you've got some really good players and it's not clicking. And I don't know if, like Freya said, and it's a problem we've got at Villa, is it an attitude problem off the pitch with players and staff, or is it an issue with the players themselves, or why is it not clicking? And I know that when you bring a lot of people in, it doesn't always click. You don't always have plug and play players, but yeah, it's just a frustrating one, because I expected to see you guys higher up the table and challenging for things, and you're just not this year, and I just don't understand where it's gone wrong. So I feel for you as fans, because like for us at Villa, it's just not worked this season.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that, to be fair. I'm just massively deflated because I really thought, as people who watched this channel from the start of the season, I really thought we were going to kick on this season and challenge Chelsea again and push them and potentially win a trophy. And now I'm looking at going, oh, God, if we can scrape top 3 somehow and go on some kind of cup run, my expectations have completely dropped from the start of the season. Even mid-games, Andrew will tell you, at Chelsea, I was there at 30 minutes going, I'll take a shot on target at this point. Because it's like we couldn't even get in there half in the first 30 minutes. So, yeah, there was a lot of stuff there. There's obviously a lot of chat about Jace. I do have an actual question on Jace in just a second, so I'll come back to her. There's a couple of comments I started. I know, Barry, you've got a couple you want to come to as well. But just firstly on this one, yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly where I am in terms of, I mean, for me personally, I think if we lose on Sunday, I will be sat here on Monday's show saying he probably needs to go. Not going to lie, if we lose on Sunday. But the criticism, they definitely go too far on him just because they don't like him as a person, 100% on that one. Where was it? There's another one. Just a question for you two. In terms of Carla Ward, is there pressure on her? It seems like that's gone away a little bit. It seems to have moved, actually. But again, a perfect show for this because the pressure seems to have moved from Carla Ward to Marc Skinner over the last kind of month or so.
It's a hard one with Carla because we know how great she's been for the club, and we've always said we're behind her 100%, and we still are. And we wouldn't want her to lose a job, absolutely. But you just think when the pressure keeps coming back and back, it then becomes a question of, well, does she want to stay? Does she want to deal with this? If it's something like they came out and said last time where the pressure was quite intense. The board are behind us and this is the support and things like that. But there's been comments here and there, and you look between it as is there enough money to support it? Do they support kind of her plan, her future, kind of what she envisions? And you just think at some point, her name was bandied around for the Chelsea job, and you think, well, if everyone's saying, oh, she's awful, she's rubbish, why would she be in that list then? So it's a very, what is the media actually giving and what narrative are they trying to spin? And it's just a very strange time. So I think there's always going to be pressure on when the results aren't going the way we want them to, and especially again after how we finished last season. But I really hope she sticks it out. There's no one really calling for her to go within the fan club. But yeah, I just hope the kind of pressure does shift slightly, and we get a good run of results, and people can say actually she is doing a good job, and we're all behind her. Lyndsey, what do you reckon?
Yeah, sorry. I was just having a quick think. Yeah, I agree, and I think with Carla, there's been a lot of pressure this season. Being, is she going to go? Is she not? Is she going to Chelsea? Is she not? We've seen that. If you watch her attitude through the season, her body language changes. She goes through periods where she looks happy and confident, and then times when she looks like she's hanging on to a job by the skin of her teeth. And it's been a very stressful season for her. I know she's got the contract extension, so in theory the club back her. But when you look at her saying, like, I need to get more players in, and it's not happening, the question is there something going on behind the scenes about funding that she's not getting the players, which is why we're having the problems that we have, because we don't have a big enough squad or the right players or anything like that. So I think the pressure for her, if we lose quite badly at the weekend, and I think Carla could have a job at risk. Now, I'm not saying she's going to lose it, and I'm not saying I want her to lose it, but I think she's very aware that between her and Skinner, this could be not the battle of 3 points, but the battle of who keeps their job. I think that's what this game potentially could be.
I think it's hard to disagree with that. I did star a couple. You're absolutely right. One of them was this one from Sporty. He said any manager worth their salt would walk immediately if they've been told they weren't being renewed, move on to the next project. So I don't necessarily think that's true. It depends on how it's been worded. They might well have said to him, look, we're not planning on renewing your contract at the end of the season. But as has been pointed out in many other comments, who else is out there at the moment? Who do you get in? Who do you bring in? As JJ says here, who do you bring in for an interim? So actually they might have said to him, we're not going to renew your contract, but we would like you to carry on until the end of the season, just make sure the girls are working hard and doing all that. So I think that is possible. And this is what I mean when I say that Marc Skinner's got, lots of positives. Let me just check him in. Laptop went a bit dark there, but it looks like I'm still on charge.
You're still with us.
If I go black, then I shall return, as Arnold Schwarzenegger once said, much better than I. But yeah, so I just think that's a big thing that we need to address. Bit here about J's. She's got one G and one A. Some might say she's also got one Z, and that gives you a J's. And then you've got here, I like Stoney. She had steel in her. The only thing she stole was a living. Thank you very much. Here all week.
That J's one was terrible.
Get taken off. Maybe that was it. Maybe that was the people.
I hear TJ's point on Jace, by the way, but it's factually incorrect because she's got 2 assists in the last 2 games, and that was going to be one of my questions in terms of if you're talking all comps anyway, because obviously got the... No, she didn't get the assist, did she? No, because it came off 2 players and went off. Okay, she got a pre-assist, if they still exist as a thing. I'll come back to that. There was a question again for you two. My favourite Villa player. What's going on with her? Is she... Go on, say she's like on the way out or something. And I could swoop in.
Definitely not. No, in fact, she's staying with us forever. Got it on good knowledge. No, she had a red card, so she was serving a ban for that. So nothing else that we are aware of. Lyndsey left us. So nothing apart from that. I don't think. I don't think she's had many knocks or anything. So yeah, it was just that red card I don't think of. But yeah, nothing to worry about. I hope so. For that one.
One day it will happen. And there was another question here in terms of do we think it was nice to meet you at the game the other day, by the way, on Wednesday night. I've met more people at the 2 games that we've lost recently in the last two games than I have. But saying, do we think clubs pay any attention to fans? I think they do. I don't think they act off the back of fans' voices. However, it just heightens the pressure. They're not going to want every social media post absolutely flooded with the same message. They're not going to want people in stands holding banners up and all that kind of thing. So it adds to the pressure for sure. I think they definitely listen, but I don't think they're there going, oh, that fan said this. You need to do this now. You need to play so-and-so because that fan said. I don't think they do that, but they'll definitely be listening as the grows like pressure for him gets louder.
I think when Twitter's such an echo chamber as well, and just everything sounds 100 times worse than it probably is. I think they'll have like one ear into the fan sphere. But yeah, you're right. They're not going to make any decisions off what we think of it.
I think clubs do listen, but as you said, it's all about what effect it's going to have. Does it have a negative effect on social media? Does it have a negative effect on the income, the revenue, and what's going on? You look at what happened with the Super League. They had to listen to fans at that point because it was too widespread, and that's the danger. If it reaches a certain level of overspill, then they'll have to listen. They've got no choice whatsoever. And the sad news is that the louder these calls become, the more likely it is that it will eventually happen, because there's only so long you can have discontent at the matches. It's not good for the players, it's not good for the team, it's not good for the atmosphere, it's not good for getting people through the door. So this is why people, I think, need to be a bit more responsible when it comes to bringing signs, calling for people's names and all that sort of thing. It's like you've got a responsibility and a power that you can use, and you've just got to take a moment and sit there and think if what you're doing is actually the right thing and if it's fair. And it's not to say that people aren't allowed to have their opinion. If people want Marc Skinner to leave, they're absolutely within their right to voice that. But I still feel like he had credit in the bank. He had a brilliant season last season. I think to be calling, we're just too reactive and too immediate. We want everything immediately. We want it to change immediately, as if a new manager is going to automatically mean, oh, that's brilliant. Here we go, top 3. The people that wanted Skinner out early doors wanted Skinner out right at the very beginning anyway. They didn't like the signing. They weren't happy. I don't know what their reasons were, but I do know that he deserved a little bit better than he got. And I think people have called a little bit too early for him. But again, like I say, those people I don't think like Marc Skinner in the first place. It wasn't based on football.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think I said that a bit earlier on. I mean, Tulum, I don't tend to bring your comments up because you're very on the fence. Well, I say on the fence, you're very open with your views, but I'll back that one. I think if Marc Skinner is to go, I'd support Barry as the manager. That'd be quite.
I mean, listen, you stick me in, we'll be winning the WSL next season. Easy peasy. But we're still not buying Maz Pacheco, just so you know that, all right?
Okay, Barry out. Oh, God. I don't know.
Yeah, how quickly we react. I didn't take long, did it? I didn't even get a second in the job before I was out. All based on fans, honestly. It's outrageous. You fans are so fickle.
Oh God, there's so many questions tonight. There was a question about who is Chadwick. If you're on about our young, there's so many ways we could go with this. If you're on about our youngster Chadwick that went to Malta, good player. I'd like to see her a bit more. You could be on about anyone. John Commod's gone for Luke Chadwick. Talking about United and men's side in the early 2000s. Is there any other Chadwicks that we want to reference on here? It's the only ones that came to mind. Yeah, God, can you imagine Barry in press conferences?
I'd be all over it. You'd love it, wouldn't you? It'd be great.
You'd be a journalist dream, you would.
Oh, they'd love it. We'd have a giggle all the time. And as long as the results were happening, everyone would love it. But as soon as we get 1 or 2 bad results, it'd be game over.
Yes, TJ, the youngster. Good player again. But, I think Marc Skinner gave his reasons on a couple of the youngsters why they weren't in the squad in terms of the dual registration. That needs changing, by the way, the whole dual registration thing in terms of if they play for United, they then can't play. Literally what we were saying at the start, they then can't play for their loaned club.
Easy. Slip the ref 500 quid, you get the penalty. Job's go. Easy.
Oh, God. I've lost all track of what questions there are.
Absolutely sure.
Who's in form for Villa? Who should United be watching out for as danger players, so to speak? Obviously, Daly's on the thumbnail. I'm sure everyone knows her quality by now. But who else has stood out for you this season?
Honestly, Dre, as you can probably tell, she's, because she's being given that time, she's phenomenal. And I think she's had that many opportunities and just hasn't been able to score. But then her getting on the score sheet on Wednesday, I was thinking, right, this is going to be it. She's going to get loads more through. So Dree's always a threat. Kirsty Hansen's always a threat. Some familiar names coming back there. But I think, again, when people turn up, obviously we've got Kenza, and, the only thing at the moment, would be that back line because we're missing Dan Turner, we're missing Lucy Parker. Dan Turner, however, it looks like she's going to be back earlier than expected, not for Sunday, but for
Bristol.
Thank you. So it's because we've been missing some players. Again, transfer window. We really want some more through, but yeah, I think we've got, if everyone turns up, and obviously Maz, we've got some really good players, and it's just if they can connect and if they can turn up. Lyndsey, anyone else?
I'm going to bring in the taboo because I think Maritz with Hansen, when she played together, they were absolutely phenomenal down that wing. And if they're playing against Evans, and if she thinks Chloe Kelly turned her inside out and she saw her breakfast again, then I think she's probably going to get done again by Kirsty Hansen. But yeah, I think Dre and Kirsty having good seasons. Laura Blinkilde-Brown is having a good season as well, but whether she'll get bullied off the ball with the physicality that you guys have, I don't know. But she's had a blinder the last couple of games. And yeah, everybody else is injured. but I can't give all our secrets away anyway just yet because where's the element of surprise?
Yeah, you mentioned a few of the ex. Is Darley back in the team now? Is she? Or is
Yeah,
she
yeah.
still, because she was injured, wasn't she, or out for a few games anyway at the start. I can't remember what happened yesterday. I don't know if you what.
It was a long time ago.
But oh God, can you imagine Hansen Leon starting assist or something like that? I'd just
let's manifest that. That would be great.
I would literally just walk out. I don't think I'll be watching the rest of the game if that ended up happening, because you could imagine, especially, I don't think the others would, but Leon would be right in front of the United fans, as she was when you scored against us at Villa Park in the first game of the season. She was straight in front of us. Cheeky. But we got our own back on that day, so it was fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through that again though, because I'd rather an easier game than what we had.
Oh yeah, I don't think my heart's recovered, to be honest, from that. There's,
poor Mia, that's the first time I'd met her as well, and stood next to me for that game, and then obviously that goal goes in, and I'm grabbing her arm. So, that was a good first encounter. What was the comments here? So obviously talking about from United point of view, going back to basics. To be honest, I'll just take a result. I don't care how it goes in, how we score. Like, it could be the dodgiest penalty I've ever seen, as long as we get the 3 points. Because, like, I think someone made the point earlier, we fail to win, then look at our form. That'll be 3 in a row that we don't win. Obviously, then prior to Christmas, obviously the Liverpool defeated LSV, the Brighton draw, the Leicester draw. Like, there's just, it'll be too many if we don't walk away with another 3 points on that one. Barry, we spoke about earlier, Jace. Now, I wanted to mention her, obviously, because I tweeted it yesterday in terms of, we spoke about it a lot on this channel, where her best position is and all this. I think now we're starting to see her improve off the right-hand side. We saw her kind of set up the goal against Chelsea, came from her on that right-hand side, driving at players, got the cross in. The goal against City, very similar, kind of driving in from that right-hand side, got the cross in. And obviously, I said earlier that she didn't get the assist for it, but the goal comes because of her driving into the box and doing that. And do you think we're starting to see now her improve on that right-hand side? And again, should we be saying to it, play out there and stick someone else down the middle? Because I think it's been spoken about. I think someone's going to have to quote me on this, but I'm sure Marc Skinner did a thing today talking about Paris' adaptability playing down the middle, which hints to me that Paris might be the one that starts in the 9 position Sunday. Otherwise, why is he being asked about it?
Take a breath, Barry. Right, Jays. Let's be clear. She is without doubt the most exciting player that Manchester United possess. And I don't say that lightly. When she gets the ball, there was a moment against Manchester City where she did, in our own half, a back heel, like Cruyff turn, through the legs of a Man City defender, rolled her, and then had the ball. And we were losing 2-0 at the time. I was sat there freezing at the bench on training. I had me phone stand all set up that I usually do the interviews and things on. And I was just sat there happily on the dugout, just watching that. And I say happily, I was almost in tears. But at that point, I did give it the old whee, because it was such a good move. And she has that ability. She can get you off your chair. She can get you onto the edge of the seat. She's brilliant at that. She's definitely better down the right-hand side. I don't think there's any doubt on that at all. The problem is that that's where Nikita Paris often plays. Now, you've mentioned, does that mean we put Nikita Paris down the middle? Now, I think she can do a job down the middle, absolutely. But then you're asking the question of what's happening with Mallard. So you just keep hitting these positions where we've got a bit more depth, I think, going forward. The issue for United is defensive. That's always been the issue this season, because Mary Earps has not been at her usual best. She has seemed beatable. I think all I will say about her today is that I can't see her winning goalkeeper of the year next year. So that's the type of year I think she's having. There'll be other people that will be in the running for that. And as we said, defensively, we've got to play the right players in the right spot. So, again, TJ saying Mallard's been hurt too. I know that Mallard's been hurt. I get that. I'm just saying that generally that's where you would expect her to play. And what I don't want to be doing with Nikita Paris is that she's always just the person that goes into another position because other players have been put into it. It's not fair. She's our top goal scorer. And I think again, it's a bit like, what is it in the women's game with people that are top goal scorer just being disrespected? Like Rachel Daly, left back. Let's just throw her in there for our international matches. Let's not put her anywhere near the FIFA Pro stuff, even though she scored ridiculous amounts of goals. Let's stick Leslie Russo in there with her 9 goals and a couple of tap-ins. It's mental what people do and how they do these mental gymnastics for it. So I think attacking-wise, we are in a good spot. We really are. But I think Paris deserves a little bit more respect. So, yes, Jay's absolutely needs to go down the right-hand side. She's definitely better at that. 2 goals now that have come from that pullback on the right-hand side, although that will get very predictable if she keeps trying to do that. The good news is is that even if it is predictable, she's so talented on the ball that she just bamboozles players. So it's like you already know what it is they're going to do, but she just don't know which way it's going. Is it going to go to your right? Is it going to go to your left? Is it going to go through your legs? Is she just going to alley-oop it over your head and make you look like a mug? You just don't know. So that's the beauty that she has. So there we go. And no, I'm not bitter. I'm being genuinely serious. Rachel Daly was the best striker in the WSL last season. And the disrespect that she gets is massive. Now, don't get me wrong, she's been nowhere near that this season. But it's not the point. The point is she's been disrespected for it. Nikita Paris is having the same thing. She's being disrespected and shunted about all over the front line. If you're the top goal scorer, you should be nailed down almost as a position. She scored again. She's the only one to have scored against City there on Wednesday. So, yeah, I think attacking-wise, we're not in the world's worst situation. But we do have to. And I get it. Yeah, I know you're talking about Russo, and I'm not bitter about her leaving at all. I'm saying Daly was better than Russo. I said that while she was at the club.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would love to see, if she's fully fit, obviously, I'd love to see Mallard off the left because, as I said, her best season in France was off the left, so she can play there. I would love to see Mallard off the left. I don't think Golden's been on it this season. Paris down the middle and Jace off the right, and just see. Because we're not winning anyway at the minute. We may as well try something else to see if we can put the ball in the net, because that's been our big problem, obviously, talking about not finishing our chances and so on. I think Garcia's been good in moments, but her finishing, for me, she just gets to the box and it's very erratic. It's very much like she doesn't know what to do with it. So I agree with that comment. Yes, she is getting better, but I actually disagree with the latter. I think she needs to be coming off from the bench still, rather than starting at the moment. So I would be starting, like I said, Mallard, Paris and Jace, just see it from there. Neil's obviously talking about, if that Villa shows up, we'll be all right. Because, lots of chances for Everton in that game, which hopefully, if that happens to us.
That was dire. We were there. That was god awful.
We didn't even cry on the way home. We were just like, where's the vodka? Let's get the vodka out.
We're just like, yeah, fair. 3 points. Yep, fine.
That really is something. But sport is kind of really put me off now. I was trying to think. We have, haven't we? And it was who was it? Who did we beat at home? West Ham. Because we lost to Liverpool, drew to Leicester, lost obviously in the derby at Old Trafford, drew to Arsenal. Yeah, it is. It's once in the WSL, and it's West Ham. Oh my life! I didn't realise it was that bad. Yeah, so I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about our home. I mean, to be fair, our away form's not exactly been much better, but you know, it's tough. And I think when you're looking at the fixtures, we've still got to play. You know, with Arsenal away, we've still got Chelsea again. Last game of the season, we've still got to go to the Etihad and play City in the league again. We've got some tough fixtures still, you know, on our books. So it's going to be tough. I would say so, considering the amount of minutes she played on Wednesday night. I hope so. Is probably the better answer, because I genuinely don't know, but I would hope so, because I think we need somebody who can actually finish, and she is one of them. Can you imagine? We go the rest of the season just winning one at home. That would be awful.
Doesn't matter if you only win one at home, Connor. As long as the performance is good, it don't matter how many points you get. Just remember that.
Oh, it's just depressing. That just every show we do, it's getting, like you said, it's getting harder and harder to defend. It's getting harder and harder to do these shows. Last season was so easy. Fire it up. Yes, we won again. Oh, it's a late winner. It's late. It's still this.
Oh, see you later, Connor. While he's gone, it's a good job I'm here. I'll just jump in seamlessly into host mode. I was just going to say that actually, I don't think it is that the shows are getting harder. I don't think the shows are getting harder because of what happened with Marc Skinner. It wasn't me, Connor.
In the studio.
Was he reading that? But I actually don't think it's the shows that are hard because of the games. If we were just talking about the girls and how they were playing, I don't think it would be too bad. I just think all this noise about Skinner now, it just makes it a consistent conversation that fans rightly want to have. Everybody's got thoughts that they want to make, and that's absolutely fair. But it's really frustrating that's where the conversation's always going to go, and it doesn't help. Like, we should have been previewing the match today, but some of the things that he said we had to bring up, and that's what's made it depressing and hard to talk about today. Is that I just can't believe that an elite manager has come out and said that. Like, you just and that's what you can't defend that. Like, give me something I can defend, and I will do it. But he's just not at the minute.
No, I agree. That was perfect time, by the way. Me saying the show's getting harder and boom, gone. I didn't know what happened. It just kicked me out of StreamYard. I was gone. I was back to the home screen. I don't know whether you'd kick me out or something. You'd had enough of me then. So I don't need him anymore.
I'll give the Skinner box. That's what's happened there. So you've heard of all this stuff that happens from Russia. Skinner's obviously got his own little ones as well, his little gremlins, and he's had enough of you, so he's like, flick, get rid of him.
Oh dear. Should we go for our score predictions and see what we're saying? I've not even decided whether I'm going for a United win or not yet. So I'll come back to me last, I think. I really don't know. Who wants to go for this? Is literally an open question because I've got no idea on mine. So I'll let someone else throw a score in there.
It's very dependent on who takes their chances. Can either team take their chances? So it's either going to be a 1-1 or it's going to be another late, someone just gets past in the dying moments and it'd be like a 2-1 or a 3-2. But yeah, I can't call it. I really can't.
Oh, there's a few.
I'm going to go with a 2-2 with a late equaliser.
Who's equaliser?
Oh, I don't know.
There's late goals in this fixture, to be fair. There's been a few down the years.
Yeah, I've got a history of it. But it's, I mean, any other day you'd say, yeah, probably United, to be fair, would win it. But again, do we go overall? Do we go on recent form?
I mean, who's going to be at the back for you? Who's your back line?
So probably Rich Corsi, Anna Patton, Maz and Maritz, possibly, or Malin. We're not quite sure which one's going to...
See, I think that can be got at. Reading those names out, they're all good players in their own right. I feel like that can be got at as a back four. Who's your keeper now? Who's in goal for Villa?
Van Domselaar.
Oh, it is, of course it is,
yeah. But
God,
so yeah, and she's really come into our own recently as well. Bit shaky at the start, but she's really come on. So
wait for her to have the best performance she's ever had on Sunday, saving everything.
I was genuinely sitting there thinking, do you know what? After everything we said and now it's gone, I would not be surprised now to see us go and win that game 4-1. And then you reminded me using goal for Villa. And now I'm feeling like I need to rethink my score. So we'll make it 3-1. Just going to save that last one. I'll tip it over the bar.
I
can't do it. I can't be completely negative for the whole show, Connor. I can't have it. They're going to come out. Nikita Paris hat-trick.
The thing is, I agree. I can see it like United like 5-0 or something. United beat Villa 5-0 a couple of times as well.
Say we beat them 12-0 once. It doesn't mean it's going to happen.
So I can see that kind of performance in us. I just don't know. That Liverpool. It's the Liverpool and Leicester game at home that is throwing me, because I went into those games thinking, yeah, we'll win, 2-3, 4-0 here, and we got 1 point out of those two games. So 2-1 United, just because I don't want to predict anything other. I don't know. I'll stick with 2-1, but I think I can see us losing. I can see a 5-0, because you don't know which side you're going to show up, do you? Especially from a United point of view. I really don't know what team we're going to see.
Genuinely, if we create the chances we created against City, it could well be 5 if they actually go in the net. It's literally comes down to, are we going to create chances? Of course we are. We do that. It's just if we put them in the net or not.
The difference is going to be
sounds so stupid, but it's true.
I think the other difference as well is obviously when you're playing Chelsea and City. No disrespect to Villa, but they've got playing. Obviously, as we saw with Lauren James, she's had 4 shots on target, scored 3 of them. I have a feeling with Villa, they're not going to have that same efficiency rate, so you're going to need more shots against us to potentially score. Daily of last season, I wouldn't be saying that about Daily of this season.
Yeah.
She's not getting the service though. That's the reason why she's not scoring the goals. And the goals are coming from across the pitch, across the team. So, like, when you look at your team last season, you didn't have, like, a big standout, like, goal scorer like City had Winnie Shaw, we had Rachel Daly. Like, your goals came from across the pitch from all different directions, and that's what's happened this season. The goals are coming from all sorts of directions, and Dree has had quite a few. So, might be a bit of an upset for you guys if she gets another one.
I really hope not. I can take anyone else scoring as long as it's not her. Because no, not again. Right. Let's wrap it up there.
It needs to like a magic 8-ball the size, can't we? Because it's just so up in the air. Just need a random prediction.
Are you two both going on Sunday? Are we?
I am, yeah. Oh
God. I'll try and see you before the game and not after, just in case.
Thanks for that reaction. Are you coming? Oh, nice.
No, every time I've tried to meet rival or opposition fans after the game, we've lost. So, trying to avoid that.
We'll meet up beforehand. We'll do a.
We get something in there. It's gone from Lyndsey's profile. Where can people find you? Obviously, I know you. The whole 115 yard. Where can people find that? Follow the pages and all those kinds of things.
Yes, we're across all social media. The whole 115 yards. Can't miss us. So yeah, please give us a like and subscribe. And I also pop up now and again on the Absolutely WSL podcast on a Wednesday as well now and again. So yeah, so we're always there. We're always about talking mainly Villa, but any other key talking points, Sunderland as well, because I'm originally from there. And yeah, any other key bits that we get our hands on.
Indeed, make sure you go and check these two out over on their platform as well. And as you said, you can find them on the. I've got butchered it. I always forget the name. It's Absolute something, isn't it? Is it Absolute Football Podcast? That where people can find? Did you say there every Wednesday?
Yeah,
I saw it earlier on. There it is.
Podcast. Yeah, there they are. And then the Absolute WSL and Championship shows just launched as well last couple of weeks. So yeah, give us a shout. We'll pop up on there.
Indeed. So make sure you go and check all of that out. From an All for United point of view, we'll be back on Monday discussing Conti Cup. Hopefully we're in it. So obviously if United are in that, we'll be talking about that. Obviously the match reaction, usual time, 7:00. Charlie will be back on that one. From an All for Women's Football point of view, I think, it's Monday at 8:30. We'll be back on again on that one. Jess has not fully decided on what Jess is hosting, by the way. You want to tune in just for that. I think regardless of topic, it's Jess's first time in the hot seat. So this could be quite something. I will try and get a match day vlog out on Sunday as well. I'll hold my hands up. The reason there's not been a vlog for the last two... Oh, Chris, I'll come to that in just a second. The reason there's not been a vlog for the last 2 games, purely because I've been so angry watching the games, I've just forgot to film everything. It's got to full time and I've got literally nothing. So that's why there's not been a vlog for the last 2. I will try on Sunday, though.
Okay. You're getting too emotional at these games, Connor.
It's not been... Whoever's been stood next to me.
Film one where you just shout into the phone. Like a really angry one that just gets all of the anger out of you, and then once you're just emotionally drained out of that, just go back to it and just go, well, we lost.
Connor, you need to be careful because if you get too stressed, you'll lose all your hair.
Yes, what happened to me, Connor?
People were saying about that about me on Wednesday, because obviously it got cut on Wednesday. It was really long before that. So yeah, that's what people were saying. It was the stress. Yes, Chris, I nearly forgot about that. So I'll quickly end the poll now. Ooh. Fallon has won her first player of the match poll, which is nice. Fallon on 38%, Lisa on 26%, Jason Paris both joined on 17%. Would you have agreed with that, Mary? Fallon on Wednesday night?
Yes, I like Fallon. So yes, she can have it. I when you asked my names, I said Jay's. I thought she did do very well when she was on, and yeah, I think it was difficult because there was nobody who really shone, even though it was a better team performance. So yeah. Why is he laughing then? What's happened? Oh,
yes. So if people didn't see, obviously he was at the gate. He was stood 2 people to my right, which is which there was at half time. There was obviously a flood of people coming up to get pictures with him, whatever. John Davenport got one with me though. So if you are watching, got a picture of me, which is something that not many people do. Well, to be fair, quite a few people have now, but there we are. But yeah, nobody wants to see that. But well, you did. You got to see it on Wednesday, which is, I'm sure, a highlight of your game, amongst other things. Yeah, everyone's loving PTJ in the chat, so it's a good way to end it. Hopefully she starts on Sunday. She won't be, but we can hope. Potentially she starts on Sunday. But
no, genuinely, the thing that I just noticed most about her is she only has to put her hand up to touch the bar.
She's really tall. I think I said to you before, when I met her at Everton in the league, couldn't believe how tall she was.
I think that's such a good thing, though. You know, she's just nonchalant almost. You know, the ball can be coming up and she's like, no, not today, thank you. No, that's wide. You know, whereas all the other ones are like, ugh! But not her. No, away you go. Brilliant. TJ.
Really off topic, but speaking of tall players, the new signing for Chelsea, Ramirez, is tall, isn't she? Pretty sure she's only in the Chelsea squad. She is the 3rd smallest behind Musovic and Katrin. So another tall striker we've got to watch out for in the last game of the season, Barry, which is going to be great for our backline to deal with. Yeah, see, meeting me is a highlight, but like I said, if meeting me is a highlight of the match day experience, the game hasn't gone very well. So yes, but yes, as I always say on here, come up to us if you do see us around at games. Well, as I said, I've met more people in the last 2 games than I have across the whole of the season. So it has been nice, albeit results aside. So that's been good. Like the video, subscribe, and all of that kind of stuff. You can follow us on absolutely every platform. It's at All for United WFC. It's the same app for all of them. And we shall see you guys, hopefully after a win this time, on Monday at 7 o'clock. See you then.